waiting for the water to boil, I just used some all-purpose flour that I had on hand and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil with some salt and turmeric. And I didn't even measure it. I just, that's probably maybe less than a cup anyway, maybe 3/4 of a cup of flour, and maybe half a teaspoon of salt and some turmeric, and just about maybe 2 tablespoons full of olive oil. And I didn't put the olive oil in until after I mixed the dough with, first I mixed the dry ingredients, and then I added a little bit of water. And once I started to get some consistency in there, then I just used a spray bottle to get it to the right moisture content that I needed to make it, where I could handle the dough. And then I added the oil in there and started kneading it. So that's how I got this consistency here, which is not bad. It will probably taste pretty good. We'll see. And just if you're wondering, this is the finest settings on the presser that I'm aware of. It's got the thinnest roller, and I'm using the thinnest blades, so this is it. And that's it, my water's boiling. Okay, here we are in the pot. Again, they're not super long because I didn't have a lot of dough. Give that a few minutes. Okay, I lowered the temperature so I could see a little better. And I'm not sure exactly how long it'll take to cook them. I don't want to play with them too much. They seem to be holding together pretty well, but again, that's a dough issue. It's not really a presser issue. Trying to get one. Here's one. So it looks a little bit flat. And again, that might be the dough. And the whole point of doing this is being able to control the ingredients and the cost, as well as the freshness of your food. When things are not available on the shelf, as they sometimes can be, as we all know, it's nice to be able to prepare your own stuff. Oh, some of these are slippery. There's one. Yeah, so they're holding together pretty good. I'm pretty impressed for my first attempt at making pasta dough. I'm sure I'll get better at that. Okay, I turned the heat back up because I don't want them sitting in that water for too long, but I'm not sure how long it'll take to actually cook them, so I'm starting to see some foaming on top. That's usually a sign of them getting starchy, so I'm going to go ahead and start testing. And they're definitely tender, but they started out tender. I don't know how to test first. Let's give it another minute, maybe. Guess I'll have to pull one out and actually taste test it. Okay, so here's a taste tester noodle. Looks good. Feels good to the touch. Feels like it's got good, it's not sticky. Can't get closer, see the texture, but anyways, it's holding together. I'm going to taste it. Oh yeah, that tastes fine. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these off. Strain it. Okay, so I'm straining them. I strained off the hot water, and then I'm just putting them in the bowl and rinsing them in some clean, fresh, room temperature water so they don't continue to cook. But so far, it looks pretty good. Like I said, they're not very long because I didn't use a lot of dough, but that's okay. I usually break my store-bought pasta in half anyway, so it's less messy to eat. That should be cooled off. They're definitely flexible. Okay, not bad for a first attempt. Now, they've already got a little bit of olive oil, so technically they taste pretty good like they are. But I'll go ahead and add whatever seasoning, maybe some vegetables or something with that. And yeah, I've got a pretty good meal. And other than the camera work and the guesswork, the whole thing probably took me 5 or 10 minutes. You know, if I had my plan, well, okay, maybe 15 minutes because the dough took an extra 5 minutes to mix together. But, you know, I didn't have to do a lot to make the dough. This looks pretty good. Bon appetit. Okay, and here we go. Since I don't have any vegetables cooked and this is such a small amount, just a taster, I just added a little pinch of salt, a little pinch of garlic, some sprinkled with oregano, and some sesame seeds. And I'm just going to eat it like that. Oh, and I did add a little bit extra olive oil. So that's it. Bon appetit. Okay, as you can see, I cleaned those up pretty good. I still got some seeds to clean up later, but I just wanted to take a look here just so you can see. There's very little pasta residue left over. My dough was pretty dry, but my cleanup is going to be very minimal. There's a little bit right there, a little bit right there, and I think I saw one on the other blade. Maybe it was a reflection. Anyway, it looks like a pretty good cleanup, but basically you can just crank the dial. I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but you can crank this around. And I think it went the wrong way. It's impossible to do this with one hand. Anyway, you can crank the dial and it'll roll the blades so you can see what you're doing while you're cleaning. And of course, these things just snap out pretty easily. You just slide, I don't know if I can do that with one hand either, but you slide it over and these little rods come right out. So I did it with one hand. That's my injured hand too, so it wasn't that hard. These little things are a little bit trickier to get out, but they're not hard. They're just a little bit hard to grip. So, you know, you can use something like a little fork or a knife or something on the edge just to kind of get it started. But these basically snap in and out, and these pins snap in and out, and then you can move the blades freely to clean them up real good. And that's it. That's a wrap. Oh, I just found another little anecdote here. So, in looking over the thing, I was shaking it a little bit while I was cranking it, and I noticed it was coming out already. So basically, without the pins, these little plastic constraints just fall out. So they're pretty delicate, which that's a good thing, because you don't really want to have to pry them. But, you know, if you have really strong fingernails or something, maybe you could do it. But you don't even have to do that. If you take the pins out first, give it a few cranks, and you're going to get, like I said, this is all the residue pasta that was came out just from cranking it and shaking it. And then I guess you can just go over it with the brush, but a lot of the bigger pieces just fall right out. And then you can use the brush. Where's the brush? I think it's on the other table, but anyway, it comes with a little brush that you can use to clean out the grooves of the blades. And that's it. And then you just wipe the outside with a damp cloth and you're done. It should take about 5 minutes of cleanup. Okay, don't want to forget to mention here's the little brush. Don't want to forget to mention to clean the roller. I found a few little pieces of dough in the crevices of the roller. It's mostly clean, but again, just wipe it off, brush it. And this is all the debris left over. It's nice and dry, crumbs, because my dough was nice and dry. But that's it. Not bad. Not too much waste. And that's probably because my dough was slightly on the dry side, so, but that's better, less of a mess to clean up than if you have wet dough. That would be a big mess to clean up. Okay, before I unhook it, I just wanted to show the instructions were a little bit vague, but this little hook here does a good job of holding it, but there is a groove and you got to get it on the groove, which means it's got to be pushed in pretty good, not all the way flush, but you know, about, looks like about an inch to half an inch to an inch from the tip, and then there's a little groove there that sits in that slot, and it has a pretty good grip. No issues there. Okay, I got one last comment here while I'm putting it away. So these rods, see, I can do that with one hand. They just slide to one end and then they come out. And these as well, they seem to fit better in one direction. So if it seems like it's not snapping in easily, then just flip it around and try the other direction. I don't know if it matches, but even these, where's that? Here we go. Even these ends, they look the same, but I don't know. One side seems to fit a little bit better. Maybe it's the slot, but you put one side in. If it goes in enough for this to easily drop into the slot, you should have plenty of room on the other end. And then all you have to do is just guide it in to the slot, which I can hardly do with one hand. There we go. Okay, and then you're just going to give it a little bit of a slide with your hand. See that snap? You don't want it to go all the way too far, just enough so it's not loose. And that's it. And then you're ready to put it away.